I'm Amy.
And I'm Chris,
Best friends of 30 years.
and we believe A Course in Miracles is the most enlightening,
Albeit slightly difficult,
personal development course we've come across.
we've walked many miles
In several countries,
analyzing and applying the course
we're bringing you our insights,
and challenges
our loves and fears.
as we apply this course to our daily lives
We love its non-denominational and all-inclusive nature,
and want to share how you too can apply these higher principles in a practical
and hopefully more easeful way.
grab a tea
Or a glass of wine,
and settle in for some laughs and truths as we share real life tribulations.
and how we shift them into miracles. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to One Simple Truth. It's Chris.
And Amy,
And as per usual, per the usual, we just had a great combo on what we want to talk about today. And we're like, dang it, we should have hit record. We always do this. But we want to make sure we're both like on the same page with what we want to share. So, which we often
want
are.
to be slightly organized,
Right?
just a little of preparation.
That's true. But it's funny because we usually are on the same page. Like maybe it's not like like going through the exact same thing, but it's like the same message that has been helping us,
Yeah.
you know? So we'll see if we really start winging it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we recap what we have just said. But anyway, I was sharing with you before we hit record that, well, first of all, I kind of just had a week where I did feel more anxious, more disempowered. And I realized it was like, oh, because I had an expectation of something going a certain way. And it's like, how often do we have, if we really dial it back, we have these expectations and then we get disappointed, when it doesn't kind of work out that way. And so I just was sort of noticing that this week, and kind of like, it kind of just started off as like heavier feelings and like what's going on. And then I was able to sort of come to that and let it go a little bit, which I think is so like in alignment with this course. If we can just have like we've been saying, like a snippet of a will to have something shift, right? So once I started first, I gave myself permission to feel how I felt, which we've been talking a lot about, and that was super helpful. And then just a snippet of like, wanting a shift and asking for the help. And then lo and behold, this morning, I was telling you I was listening to the Smartless podcast and Maria Shriver was the guest. And I just got like re-inspired for everything that I'm doing and working on and the course. And it's like, yeah, that's like what it takes is to ask for the help and have the willingness, right?
Yeah.
And
I feel like when we're in that place of being a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, that's how I entered the combo with you. I'm like, Deborah Downer alert.
She introduced herself on the phone. Yeah, Downer alert, literally. I've been a Debbie Downer. And then I think like you just said, when we're having those feelings, we need to welcome them. We have to embrace them. We can't resist them, because the more we resist, the more they stay. We can't try to say, oh, I need to get myself out of this. Oh, I need to work A Course in Miracles, work my way out of this. I need to stop this from happening. It's more of, I need to be okay with it. It's not gonna kill me. It's not gonna affect me. It has no power over you to be a Debbie Downer. Just let it be, and then be okay. Allow yourself and be okay with it. Give yourself love, give yourself compassion. And then I know it's super hard in those moments, but then also like having that little willingness and that patience, because then what you described is this like enlightened moment of like a source that came to you, that inspired you. And I think that's like the hardest thing to remember when we're having a Debbie Downer moment.
I'm laughing to myself because I'm like, mine has advanced to Deborah. She's likes to be called Deborah now because she's super sophisticated and sly.
She sounds so serious, Deborah.
She's
scaring
so
me.
serious. Deborah is like, whoa.
Deborah, I'm
And,
worried. I'm
and
worried about
sorry to
Deborah.
all the
She's very
Deborahs and
touchy.
Debbies out there. It's just the double D goes together. But yeah, she's freaking serious. She is like, oh, not messing around. But yeah, and you know what I forgot to say, and this is funny. We weren't even going to talk about this. So I'm glad we kind of went into this first. But one thing that really helped, and, as you know, I've been taking this mediumship course. And so there's a lot of practice readings. And it's so fun because we get to practice and we also get to receive. So, like a give and receive. And something that came out this week was like, and this lady is this type of therapist as well. And she was getting the guidance of like, I forget what it's called, somatic therapy. Is that what it is?
Could
I don't
be
know.
somatic
Anyway, yeah, about
body,
like feeling
body.
feelings and stuff. So she was like, I feel like there's an opportunity, or what was coming to her before we got on our session was that an opportunity to like feel your feelings, and like maybe you're going through something. And at first I was like, no, like I've been feeling pretty peaceful, which has been nice after a move and things have settled down. But then I'm like, wait, I was really freaking angry yesterday. And I was like, oh, right. And then even though I was like, I've been working on feeling my feelings, I've been doing that work, but it's still there. And the whole day before, I was like, why are you so angry? Like I couldn't figure it out. And then the summary I just gave at the beginning of this was what I got to by the end of the week. But what helped it was she was like, and we've probably all done a variation of this, or maybe not. So hopefully this is helpful, but like to this one I hadn't done, put your hands on the feeling where it is in your body. And so, yeah, for me, it was like in my chest. And then, is there a color associated? For me, it's always with this type of anger, is like a bullet hole size, is how I picture it, of dark red energy. And I
Mm,
like feel it. And she's like, yeah, just allow yourself to do that. So I was doing that later. And then one other tip I've learned with that is to also ask its positive intention. Like, why is it showing up? And it's like, there's stress. This is too much. It's like, take a step back. This is overwhelming. And then when you really get to it, it's like the crux of like feeling sad and like, oh, I feel like I'm going to cry right now. Like you get to what's really going on, and it's like
yeah.
there to kind of protect you almost. So then it's like, thank you for showing up. So I'm so glad this came up because that was a big
Yeah.
part
I
of
love that.
feeling it.
Yeah. And I feel like that like encapsulates so many things about what A Course in Miracles says, being like,
Mm-hmm.
don't resist it, but also what is it for? Like there is a gift. I know I roll my eyes sometimes when we're like, oh, every challenge is like a gift or opportunity, because you don't want to hear that in the moment. So
Right.
but the truth is that it's showing you something.
It
It's
is showing you
giving you
something.
information. And so for you to stop
Yes.
and have the capacity to ask, like, what is this? Wait, how did you phrase that? What do you want to show me? Or what is this?
Oh, the positive intention of
Yeah,
why this is showing up. And then you kind of have to keep going with it beyond the first thing that pops up too, because you
yeah,
got to kind of really get to the crux of it. So you kind of keep asking like, oh, that's interesting. And like, what is that for? And then
showing.
you keep going and going till you really get to like, it's
Right? What a
usually some
great
kind of
way.
sadness deep down.
Oh, and that is so true. Like it's a great way to sit with what's going on instead of resisting it and pushing it out.
Right.
And
And
you're
you
loving.
and then you deal with it too. Like that
Mm,
is the nice thing, that it does dissipate because you allow it to move through. And then
mhm.
usually what I'll do is like even fill up with a different color that represents like, so say it's like to keep me safe. Okay, well, what does safety look like? Maybe it's a yellow sparkle or whatever it is in the
Yeah,
moment coming in, and then the red dissipates and it moves through. And it's like, if we are all energy, it does kind of make sense,
yeah,
that these types of things would work. We don't need to like try to talk ourselves out of it or, you
Yeah.
know,
And I was going to say
yeah,
too, when you were describing this, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are kind of like thinking, okay, what's like the protocol on what to do? But all you really have to do is stop and have the willingness and the Holy Spirit. The end result of all of our journeys is going to be the enlightenment, the learning, the awakening. We're
right.
all going to get there. So if we can even open up a crack and say, what is this for? What's the positive intention? You don't need to think through it. Like you said, just
Yeah.
get the information. The Holy Spirit or the loving mind is in there. It's always there. So allow yourself to try and see and hear it. And
Totally,
yeah,
totally. And as we're saying this, I'm like, yeah, you know, that's what it was for me. And the message came through. It might be something different for someone else to feel the feelings, but it's like, yeah, just having the compassion and letting them flow through often is enough to shift it. And it doesn't mean the situation isn't still there, but we feel lighter. And then, like you just said, there, we have that crack to come in that then we do receive sort of what is the solution or what is the next step or what is the guidance for, you know, whatever it is we're working through, right? What's the shift in our thinking to help us approach this in a different way?
yeah.
And then we can have that shift. And so yeah, I love that. And it just opened up for me because I was feeling so disempowered to then listen to that podcast this morning. And I really just got re inspired with, you know, the shifts that are there for us and the bigger picture with the course. And so, what Maria Shriver, to get into that part of it, what Maria Shriver was saying was, you know, they asked her what she's working on and getting advice for right now, because I guess a lot of people do go to her for advice. And so they were like, what are you working on right now? And it was to how to stay focused and fight for a cause without getting angry about it. And so she was saying like there's a way to, and I was thinking about this too. I think sometimes we do have to get a little angry to like make a change, and that's okay too. But she was saying like overall, like, how can we stand up for a cause or fight for a cause without getting angry, without attacking other people, and maintaining what she called it, this emotional sobriety, which I really
Mhm.
loved. And it just made me think like there's so much going on in the world right now. And well, and just to backtrack a second, so for her, her cause was, and she also said, and how to stay focused without on what's important to her and the changes she is passionate about making in the world without, you know, I always want to say taking the bait, but that's not how she phrased it, but without um taking on what other people think is important. And I just, that really resonated with me because I think sometimes for me, it's like I'm not getting caught up in all the political stuff right now. And it's not that I don't want to know about it or know what's going on, but I just know for me, that's a hook, line, and sinker because I am so about fairness that that would just take me down a path that I don't think is healthy or good for anyone around me. And so it was just like permission to feel how I've been feeling about this is like, what can we do that feels good for each of us so that we can put out what we're wanting to put out into the world and do it with love and kindness instead of like taking the bait and going down a path of like, well, this person voted for this person and how terrible. And like you were saying before we hit record, like it almost gets into a gossip place. And it's like, I don't want to be doing that. And I don't want to be attacking other people for what they're doing. Like, how can we shift it? Like, what is important? And it reminded me of like Mother Teresa with how she was pro peace and she wouldn't attend like rallies on, you know, I forget like how to phrase it, but like where it was like fighting for a cause. And it's like, right, because what we put out, we're going to get back. So what do we want to focus on? What do we want, what are we passionate about? And for me, it's these concepts. And how can I see what other people are doing and not have all these attack thoughts on them? Because if I get into like unfairness, that is what I'll be doing. I'll be in like freaking Judge Judy mode. I'll be like, we gotta like stop this and fix this. And not that I can't still do my own part, but like, what is that that's important to me so that I can
You're
show
holding
up?
your ground, and then you're holding your
Yeah.
ground on who you really are. And I just want to
Mm-hmm.
go back to your point about the Mother Teresa bit, because I mean, I'm totally just going by memory here, but I think you're right when you say she said, I don't invite me to a war protest,
Oh
but I
yeah,
will come
war
to a
protest.
peace rally.
Yes.
And just that comment, and again, this is not to put down any kind of protest or action or activation that anybody's doing in this world. We're not we're
Yes,
trying to
totally.
just educate about like what A Course in Miracles asks us to do with our souls, so that we are
Yes.
coming back to love. And I think when you talk about that, all those words that she was saying is that if I attend something where my energy is in resistance, fighting, attack, then what we're doing is we're putting ourselves back into a place of being a helpless body in a helpless world. And that's who I am. We are identifying back with a body in a world. And we put our energy further and further and further into an intention that is about resistance, resistance, resistance. And release does not come from resistance, it comes from release. And so her opposite statement of I will go put myself into a gathering about peace is just her way of saying I need to have the intention of putting my energy into what I want to see, the piece of that I want to see.
Yes.
And that's the difference too. And to take it up one more level is that A Course in Miracles does say, like, you don't just have to choose between, right or wrong, black or white, peace or war. You actually have to remember you are the energy that is love. That's who you are. And so the moment you jump into a body who's feeling resistance against anything, you are like reinforcing that resistance is
Real.
required because you are vulnerable and attack can hurt you. And yes, attack can hurt the body and it can hurt the illusion of the body, but who we really are is not the body. Who we really, really are and who we want to nurture and who we want to, like you said, the emotional sobriety. If we keep ourselves in an emotion, like in a very sober place of like, I am aligned, I know who I am love, that's what I want, that's what I want to always remember, then that is what will be in our awareness and all around us
Yes.
as well.
Nice summary. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm so glad you summarized it that way, because it's like, do we want to be operating from a place of love or a place of fear? And what do we want to put out? And like you
Yeah.
said, it doesn't mean like people that are protesting aren't operating from that place, but it's like checking in for each of us. Like, what does that look like? Right? What feels good? And what are the changes, like, to go back to the world, like what Maria Shriver was saying, like her causes right now, just to give everyone an idea of an example, hers are women's health. And I think there was something else around human rights or something like that, but the women's health stood out to me, and something about 10% of some budget, federal budget, I think, goes towards women's health. So she's really been working on changing that. And it's like, that has nothing to do with politics right now. So she is saying, like, this is what I'm passionate about. And this is where I feel like I can make a difference in the world. And I'm going to stay in my lane. So it's like, what is it for each of us? Like, we're still going to be going to our jobs? How do we want to show up in a conversation when there is politics involved? Like, do we want to take more of a gossipy approach, or do we want to, like, take more of a loving approach and focus on peace for people? Like, what is that? So, and just in like a really quick example on that I was going to post about today was a family member told me about a friend who was turned away in Arizona because they didn't want any Canadians. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is happening here? Right? Like, this is so crazy. And then I'm like, I know a lot of people in Arizona who are amazing and who do not feel that way. It's like one thing, and I was going to put a post out, and I'm like, I don't post about these things on purpose because that's not the energy I want to have. And I don't want to create a whole back and forth thing about this. And I'm only bringing it up here because I think it's just like a really real example. And then I was thinking more about what I read in the course the other day, which was about justice. And this was super helpful to apply to things that are happening right now. And the course was talking about, I say talking because I was listening to it on Audible, but talking about how justice is really about fairness, which of course I was like, ooh, fairness. Yes, I love fairness. I'm all about fairness and really can get on a tangent with that. And then it was like, no, not fairness in the way we would think about that. It's like, what's fair for all on like a soul level, and like not to worry. And in the course's language is God and the Holy Spirit. So, insert whatever your language is, source, the universe, has got it, like, not to worry, just ask, ask what's fair for all. And I'm pretty sure it's not getting into like attacking other people for who they voted for or what they're doing, or, trying to fix that, gossiping about it. It's like, how can I approach this with more love and releasing it to something bigger that's can help us see what's fair for all. We don't need to be the master of the universe and try to decide that. And I feel like when we slip into that place, we're back into like what we've been talking about lately, like judgment and righteousness and right and wrong. And it's like, that's not what's fair for all.
Yeah, I really like that because it's so true. When you take even the words fairness, you can put them in the hands of the ego, or you can put them in the hands of the Holy Spirit. And
Yeah.
the ego will take fairness and say, I know exactly what's fair. And then they'll divide it all up in this world. And there's comes down to all these rules about what's right, what's wrong. And people will just, I mean, there's seven, I don't know, 8 billion different ideas of what is fair in this world. So to expect
Right.
that to be united is a difficult thing. Whereas if you gave it to fairness, the concept towards who we really are, which is just love, we are like all united. There is a united fairness. The united fairness is, like you said, not up to us. It's to allow what love is. And that sounds so unpractical because you're like, well, what do we do with that in the world? What do you do in a courtroom with that idea? Like, what do you say? Like, we'll just wait for the Holy Spirit to come and tell us what's fair and what's not. But if you're
Yeah.
in a courtroom and you have a judge who is centered and was practicing these things and saying like, I am aligned not with hate and attack and resistance and my ego, but if they had a practice, for example, that was very aligned with truly what love was, I mean, those things, they are practical, but we all have to practice them. We have to put them in our, like you said, staying in your lane. You have to be in your lane daily, telling yourself what is most important, and being one with the universal fairness is important. And you can, even like you said, you can choose different topics that are important to you and sort of focus on them, or find intentions. But a scattered anxiety about what is happening that is unfair in this world is really not a good way of joining us all, which is what we need as the bottom line, is to be joined and to know that there is a universal fairness that is out there. It is there.
Totally. Yeah. I'm so glad you phrased it that way. It's like, just I was thinking about the podcast last week with having Laura on, and it's like following the guidance. And when we're coming from that place of love and connection, that, we can hear it more and it's there for all of us. And it might, sorry, I have something in my throat here. It might be, you know, just fighting for a cause, I really liked how Maria Shriver kept saying focused, because fighting almost feels like what Mother Teresa was saying. She doesn't go to a war protest, and it almost feels like coming from the ego, just that word. But I guess it's whatever each person's energy is behind it. But it's like, how can we focus more on what we're wanting to see and receive? When we are in that place and we are centered and grounded, like you're saying, we can connect with the guidance. But like you said, it takes so much practice to know what the guidance is for us. And that's, if people are listening, like, yeah, how do you do that in the world? Because it feels so abstract. It's like, that's what it is receiving the guidance. And if we want more peace for all, and we want a better place and love and connection for all. And even though this, back to the course, and with it being a projection and illusion, and we talked a lot about the movie theater, but we really do want to extend love at the end of the day. And it's like, how can we do that more? And when we are more centered, we can receive that. And I was thinking too, with your court example, that's such a good one. You and I have both been through a lot of heavy stuff, as have a lot of people, most people. And the guidance is still there then. It's like back to feeling how you feel, like this is a sad situation, or this is an anger invoking situation, allowing yourself to feel how you feel, but opening that crack a little bit to receive the guidance. It's like, and remembering how powerful we are with co-creating. It's like what we put out, we get back. And that was another podcast I listened to recently. I forget which one, but the person was saying, like, remember, if we're so caught up in fear and what's going on, like, that's what we're putting out, and that's what we're going to see more of. And if we're really taking the time, even if something heavy is going on or we're going through something, to go, I want a peaceful resolution. I want to have like love infuse the situation. Like, you're going to be in front of the judge that sees it that way. You're going to be like, you're going to have the attorney that's helping that way. Like, it's going to take care of itself, and you're going to see all the steps that bring more of that peace to the situation, instead of like what you were saying before, when we come from fear, we think we don't have any hope. We think we're a victim. We think we can't change it. It's like, oh my goodness, no, we're so powerful if we can all put this out there. Like, there's a whole universe, God, Holy Spirit supporting us. Like, there is a peaceful solution to all of this. It's like, just trying to remember that, like, what we put out at the end of the day, it all comes from within, is what we're going to see more of. And
Yeah.
it's not a coincidence. When I was feeling angry the other day, then I started seeing things from that perspective in my life, with this phone bill and this credit card bill, and like, oh, this is annoying and this isn't fair. And then I want to like start arguing and fighting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is not how I want to show up. And it's like,
It's a terrible place to be.
Yeah, it's a terrible place to be.
Is in that place where you think you are just a victim to what's going on all around you. It's awful.
Yeah.
We've all been
Yeah.
there. We all are there all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, nobody can say that they're not, because this is part of the experience. And so you're absolutely right. Like, we will all come in and out of that, and just don't beat yourself up about it when you're having days like that. Just try to know there is something more. There's something
Yes,
different. You don't even
it
need to know what it is. You just need to go,
totally.
I need to know there's something more. And hopefully that hitches you a ride to the next place.
Put your thumb out, ask for a ride. I was thinking the same thing. It's like it's like the remembering. It always comes down to this. The remembering there's a different way. So
Yeah.
whatever way you need to get there, feeling your feelings, if that exercise helps somebody else, like whatever it is, and remembering like there's another way and
Yeah.
getting like focus back on what you want to create more of. And if it is a bigger cause in the world, or it's just working on your own emotional sobriety, as she calls it, and like that has such an impact on everyone around you, like that also is enough. It's like,
Yeah. Or
but it's the
simply dropping,
remembering.
what I'm thinking too is just simply as simple as dropping the resistance. Like
Yeah.
something as simple as like stopping what you're doing. And like there is, a course does say too, like I need do nothing. And sometimes we're we're so caught up in things that our solution seems to be another solution. A solution seems to be another action, another
Mm,
next step, but sometimes it's just like, no, just stop what you're doing.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stop this thing. Like just, or ignore, not stop the thinking, because the thinking is always going to be coming and going and coming and going. But, like stop latching on to everything. And that's why I called it
Yeah.
gossip before, because gossip does that
Yeah.
to your brain.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like my brain is using the news like gossip, because I cannot
Mm,
resist it. It is like so juicy. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I just want to like latch onto the gossip. And even that, it's just like, that's okay. Forgive yourself for doing that. But no, just let those thoughts come and go, come and go, come and go. Don't latch on and go for a ride with them, because you are not going in a nice direction. Let me tell you.
right. It's so true, because then it's like back to like what you put out, you get back. It's like, yeah, when you start down that path, like whatever it is you're sinking your teeth into, it just extends to everything in your
Keeps
life.
it
All of a
going.
sudden, everything's terrible, everything's
Yeah.
bad. I'm gonna think about all my past mistakes. I gotta like, just
Mm-hmm.
everything is off and
And my
terrible.
future awfulness. And then
Future,
that's the thing
yep,
too, is like projecting into the future. Now you're
yes.
when you jump on that bandwagon, because it is tempting, it's juicy. You want to be super mad at somebody, or you want to hear all the
Juicy
dirt.
AF.
Juicy AF. You jump on the juicy AF. Toot, toot. And then all of a sudden, like it seemed fun at first, because you're like, what is this gossip? Who do I get to like be mad at today? And then before you know it, you have lost all that like center and the peace of mind and those things that were, keeping you remembering, like you said, of
Yeah, keeping you
remembering
remembering. And you
that
know what? That
okay.
always feels bad too, right? It's like, if you do get caught up in that, whatever the gossip is, like that never feels good after,
Not
It's
after,
like,
right?
yeah, it really
Yeah.
doesn't. And it's like, again, back to not that we don't want to be aware of what's happening or be a part of making some kind of change or extending love out, but it's like just trying to be centered as we're like observing these things. And then like,
Yes.
how can I
Observing.
have more love and peace? And you know what?
Yeah.
Might be love and peace. I'm just thinking we're connecting with some family. It might be just listening to someone else as they're
Yeah.
kind of ranting and raving about something, but like I don't need to get caught up in it. And maybe it's just having a listening ear. Like that
Yeah.
might be what's called for, with which the course talks a lot about, is like not correcting people and not, so it might just be like just having being a safe space for somebody else to express how they're feeling. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean I need to get caught up on like the fear of it, I think is what it is. Like, how
Well, I
can
like
I
that
be
you
loving in this situation?
and I love that you brought in the observer. I know we've been going for a while now, so
Yes.
probably
Yeah.
wrap it up, but
Right.
I
Like we could
love that
talk
you
all
brought
day
in.
about this.
We need to like, this was a great sort of like wrapper upper, because I love that you brought in being in the observer, because when you're the observer, in terms of like, yes, all this stuff is happening, but truly that's who we really are, is we are the observers of our so-called selves going through all these things. And you could ask yourself even like, what would the observer do? If I was
Right.
watching a movie and I was watching myself on the movie screen, you
Yeah.
know, what would I be
Back to the
thinking
theater.
then? Like, what
Yeah.
would, and if I'm sitting in the theater with, Jesus or the Holy Spirit or peace with us, love with us, what would I be doing if I was sort of detached from, I could observe what's going on to my so-called self, but what would I actually, what would I be doing as the observer? Keeping my
Yeah.
peace, keeping relaxed, let things happen, the way they're supposed to happen, and following love as the guidance, not just be knee-jerk reaction because I think I'm in the film, being the body on the screen who's helpless, who's the
Yes.
victim, who is at the whim of the world, which feels terrible.
Yeah, which is, I was just thinking as you're saying that, like, which is so where the work is. Cause it's like, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna fall off. We all do it. And then like, how can we remember? And that's why the movie theater is so helpful. It's such a great tool to be like, oh yeah, right. Okay. If I was watching this and observing it, right. And it just helps you like
Yeah.
let go of those feelings a little bit and be able to observe a little bit more and remember like, okay, how do I want to show up in this situation? And if I'm feeling off, what do I need to do to get back on track too? Which maybe goes back to like just letting yourself breathe or feel the feelings, or, do a little extra self-care or something to help us get back to that place where we can be more grounded and neutral and observe.
Yeah.
That's where the work is. On that note, permission granted to focus on whatever our own changes that we feel is going to, help us have more peace and those around us. And that's good enough. It's good
Yeah.
enough. And what a ripple effect, really, at the end of the
Yes.
day. Okay, guys, until next
All
time.
right. Till next time.
Please click and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. And if you would like to learn more about readings and coaching with Chris and Amy, please visit chrisatley.com. Until next time.